Back pain while squatting. Maybe you've heard of this term butt wink, where your butt whoop, winks at the bottom of your squat, and then you're like, ah, my back, right? Let's go over what that is, and then maybe we'll go over with how to make it not that, right? So as you see here, here's Bob, okay, Steve the stick man. This is him standing normally. He has a slight anterior pelvic tilt. This is normal for humans. Humans also have an S-curve spine. That's normal, okay? Now, when he squats down, his knees and ankles do stuff, and his body lowers, and the idea is that his pelvis stays at this anterior pelvic tilt, and his lower back stays in a nice natural arch. Now, what happens sometimes is this, right? So what's happening here is he's gone down so low, and he has many reasons for the butt wink, but the hip has rotated down, the butt has winked down, and the lower back, the entire back is now rounded bad, because our body does not like that. And then we have load up here, and we have to transition from this to this as we lower through the squat. So we're happy, and then we go down, and we become unhappy. And that rounding from the lower back, right, especially under load, is what hurts our back, because our lower back goes from tight to open to tight, and it's trying to figure out what in the world is going on, and it doesn't really have the tolerance to handle that change, and then we have pain, right? Not all the time, but this may be one of the many reasons. It's also not as strong as having a nice, healthy squat. So what we really want is we want to get hips below knees while maintaining this anterior pelvic tilt and maintaining a nice S-curve to our lower back. So if we can maintain that curve in this position, we're going to keep our healthy lower back, and we can keep our bracing with our ribs and our abs and our back and our obliques. We can keep all this stuff in a nice position so that our S, right, stays in its nice S positions as we're lowering and rising with our loads. Right? So that's the goal from squatting. Now, there are people with different physical reasons why they cannot get to certain depths because of femur length, hip design, hip width, all these certain variables that maybe make it impossible for a hip to stay in this anterior pelvic tilt all the way ass to grass if you have the knee and ankle flexibility. And that's okay too. You should have an individualized squat pattern to a certain depth where a professional can tell you when you lose the ability for your S. But let's talk about what we can do to maybe learn this position better. So if we take our hip, bow, chicka, wow, wow. Now let's look at what we can do to improve that squat. So a few things we can think about. As I'm standing up, when I bring that knee up, that's a knee, the hip flexor, right? If I bring it up so far, imagination station, think that I'm squatting down right now. If I try to get below parallel and I have to make that happen through my lower back rounding, maybe that's my hip flexor strength not having the access to get there without compensation for my lower back. So I can do some standing isometrics from here to teach this hip flexor quad how to gain access up to my ribs. If you look at that from the ground, right, I have my entire hand underneath my lower back. If I'm squatting, I bring this knee up to my body, you can figure out I can't bring my knee up anymore because I run out of compensation to my lower back. This is the end of my squat, right? But I can do isometrics by pushing, teaching this hip flexor how to get there. I can practice breathing and bracing skills to learn, and I can also take my feet into wider positions to figure out where I can access that, maintaining this gap. Now, if I remove that and I didn't have this internal goal of what's happening to my body and my lower back's pressing into the ground, I can get into all sorts of cool positions down here. But if I'm loaded, my lower back is now in a rounded position at the bottom of my squat. I want my squat to have a natural arch. Doesn't have to be big, but just a natural position that I can have 360 degrees of bracing while I'm in my squatting positions. So I can also do those isometrics from here, pressing my knees into, maintaining that gap, press, 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 and I can gain, press, 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 And I can gain, see how my range of motion is increasing, but I'm not doing that by pushing down on my back into the ground. So this would be a good pre-squat prep, is to teach that hip flexor how to get in there. I think flex, don't stretch, so that you're a stronger position, especially at the bottom where it's always the toughest to get back out. But if you can access those quads, access those hip flexors, and maintain a brace, you'll be able to squat more often, squat without pain, and become a stronger, better you. I hope that helps. Keep squatting.